In this video, we're going to see some techniques that we can use with lights in Blender. So we're going to see how we can basically transform our light into a projector to project either images or certain types of shadows, or create like this blind window blinds effect. I believe these are called Venetian blind from Venice. So where do I get these ideas? Well, actually, I'm just a little bit curious when I see movies and TV shows. I am really fascinated by the effects and the scenographic look, theatrical look over some shots. So just as in the previous video, we saw the 3-point lighting technique, and we started from there, and then we expanded to create backlights here, and we use also the IES to simulate the spotlights. Well, in this video, we're going to experiment with other techniques and theories that are used in TV shows, movies, and so on. So I'm still using this model here from Sketchfab, which is from this author here. So you can search for, it's called Samantha 03, and it's free to download and to use. And this is again the authors if you want to check its page and support him. So you click here, download the model. We already done that also in the previous video. Same thing with the other model, which is a sofa from Polyhaven, and this is the author right here. Again, CC0 license and links to support and everything. Well, I'm gonna add in this video this other character here, which is like a man. It looks pretty good with this suit in this kind of scenario that I have invented, kind of a noir movie or like sci-fi ambientation, whatever. And this is the one right here. So you can click here, free download. And again, we already talked about free models from Render People and people from Render People, 3D People. Okay, now let's move on. I've just made some research here in Google. So if you search for like movie lighting effect, you will get a lot of ideas. You can see how lights are used in movies and TV shows and theater to enhance and to create atmospheres and really engaging shots and sequences. And also another technique that it's used a lot that I really like is the fog or the mist, or you can see these rays or God rays. Now these are possible if you use the volume lights, or in this case, in the case of Blender, we don't have the volume light effect, but we have a volumetric effect for which is called scatter, volumetric scatter of the light. So the light is kind of being visible here thanks to this additional effect. Okay, so we're gonna try to simulate some noir movies effect, like again the shadows from blinds, from windows blinds, and fog. And these are all effects that also are useful to hide some parts of the scene. So when you don't have a big set and you need like some visible limit, you place there some fog, and this is also useful for that, to have a small scene but that looks big. And this is what's happening here. So the scene stops right here, but by adding some fog, it's gonna look like a little bit bigger. And this is right now has this like GTA graphic illustration look because I'm using the noise. So we're gonna talk about improving the render later. Now, an important thing to know when you use volume scatter, so when you scatter the light and create this fog and volumetric light effect, well, the noise is gonna increase a lot. This is an effect that is gonna increase drastically the noise in your scene. So you need to have way more quality in your render to make it look really nice and clean. Okay, let's move on here. Okay, this is just to show you some examples of how the fog or mist or whatever you can call it, it's used in many different situations, theater again, or movies, and so on. It's really something that gives that like mysterious look and really adventurous look to some scenes. Okay, then we are gonna see how we can project images using light. So here I have created some examples. Now you can project also the Venetian blinds, window blinds. You can project images, or you can project something that's gonna simulate like trees or whatever would be outside a window and is gonna be projected as shadows from the outside into the interiors. So you can use many different pictures here. I've chosen this one here from Pixsphere, this website here, and it's this one here. So you can get it yourself. Just look for tree branches, or you can actually use whatever image you want. So you just can experiment yourself with another image, but I've chosen this one here. And again, this is CC0 public domain, so you can use it however you want. And also to simulate the window blinds, I've looked for some black and white images, because the logic here is that black doesn't emit light, while the white emits the 100% of the photons. So if you use an image like this into a light, similarly to the IES effect that we discovered in the previous video, well, that's gonna create a more interesting light, because it's gonna project this as shadows and light. So this is like using Windows blinds again. Depends how you place it. If you place it vertically, it's gonna create like a gel bar looking. So here I can show you right away. So if I deactivate these blinds right here and activate, well, this is in pose mode. I'm in pose. So if I'm gonna activate the gel bars instead of the blenders, let me deactivate also the others. So if I press play, you can see that now it's showing that those bars, which are vertical. So it's gonna give the scene a totally different story. It's gonna change everything. So you are free to create whatever story and then to tell it however you want, using lights and the effects that come with them. Okay, so this is another example, but again, you will look for any black and white image and you can use it as a projected image inside the light, so that it's gonna give that extra look to your scene. And again, this is from, if you want to use like these Venetian blinds, you can get it from Pixabay, or well, there are a lot of websites out there where you can get stuff. Now I'm gonna show you here how I have organized my scene to manage the lighting a little bit better. So I created a folder here, or collection, called projector. So I'm gonna deactivate this. Well, you can see that if you can go one by one to deactivate the lights, but if you create a group, this is better, because you can isolate a group of lights that you are using. For example, here you can see here, let me show you now. Let's go in a less demanding render engine here, which is gonna be the shading mode, or viewport shading. Now we can see also the fog effect a little bit when we move around. And these are the cone lights that I've activated to simulate the volumetric light effect into this preview. And here you can see I've created some of the lights, rectangular area lights, that can be used to create the blinds effect. Now you can see I've placed those in one single collection. So these are all the blinds here. Well, these are all duplicates. So if I turn this off, in one click I can turn off all those lights. Same thing for the IS lights that we created in the previous video. So I can click and turn them off. And same thing for these backlights, turn them off. So everything is off right now, except for the lights that are into the scene here, which are these couple of spotlights. Now, just want to show you here that if you want to show the cone here, you can scroll down and see the show cone option. So if you want, you can turn this off. And actually, now I'm able to see the effect, which is a little less graphical than the one before, but I can actually see the effect of the fog and the volumetric light in a preview here directly into the shading mode. This is pretty handy when you want to test the effect before you actually render, because again, this is a really heavy effect to render. Now the fog here is given by an object, so if I turn off this object, the fog is going to be gone. So I'm going to show you how you can add a fog in a couple of ways. You can do it in a couple of ways. You can add it to the world, or so it's going to be everywhere, or you can limit the fog into a precise volume and using our material. So we are slowly moving into the material and shading part. Now, so you can see I turned almost all the lights off. I still have this couple of lights. Okay. Now all the scene is black and completely dark. Now this is possible not only because I've turned off all the lights that I have into the scene, but also because I have adjusted some settings right here. These are really important when you want to check your lighting into the scene. Either if you are here in the viewport shading or if you are in the rendering mode. And by the way, always start with EV instead of cycles, which is a little bit lighter, and move into cycles only when you have to test the actual effect, because you're always going to get a preview from EV. It's not advanced as cycles. Okay, now why everything is black? You probably don't have this situation here. Well, this is really important. Now if I turn off scene light and scene world, Blender is going to apply this default HDRI image, which is gonna light up your scene. So we're gonna talk about HDRI lighting in another video, but essentially this is an image which it's all around your scene, kind of a spherical world, fake world, like I don't know, Truman Show. So you have this sphere that surrounds your scene, and when this is on, it's gonna project also light, and not only is going to work as a background, and also it's useful for reflections. But again, we're going to talk about this later. Now if you override this with the scene world, it's black, because if I go here and go into my world panel or world tab, you can see here that I have well, right now I'm using nodes. So if I uncheck this, you can see that I can use an actual color. So if I say okay, I want everything black, everything is gonna turn black. If I say use nodes, then I can jump into the nodes, click here, and well, I can use nodes also from here. If I click here and I add a volume scatter,